Good afternoon, everybody. We're here today to make a quick analysis of Nashville, who's going to be playing against Inter Miami tomorrow for the final of the League's Cup. And I wanted to mention a few key points that I consider to be a risk for Inter Miami. And one of them is, number one, the no possession direct attack. Nashville does not prioritize possession of the ball, as we can see it on the screen. Those are the last four games. They prefer to play as a counter attack based on the quality of its players, of their players. It does make sense. They play with a 4-4-2, and we're gonna dig into that in a few minutes. We see on the top of the screen, as I mentioned before, that two of the games having won on penalty shootouts, and the 5-0 against Minnesota, they did have possession most of the time. I believe it's because Minnesota got a red card on the first half, 33 minutes of playing time, I believe it was. And 4 minutes after that, Nashville scored the first goal and dominated the game. So they ended up winning 5-0. And then they play against Monterrey after that, which was the last game. Number two, passive pressure. With a 4-4-2, as I mentioned before, they exert a passive pressure, which allows the opponents, Inter Miami in this case, to build up from the back with no major issues. They're not gonna have a problem with that. Inter Miami, they want to have possession of the ball all the time. We saw that during the last games, and we're probably gonna see it tomorrow. This is a fact. It's probably gonna be Inter dominating the ball for the entire game, and then Nashville to wait for the counter attack and therefore score if they can, of course. So number three, we have the unbalanced midfield. The role of both central midfielders will allow Miami total dominance in the center of the field. I have no doubt of that. And I'm going to dig more into that when I show you the formation. I want you guys to see the names, to see the numbers of the players, so you can get familiarized with that. Number four, striker plus free player. The free role of the German Mukhtar, who's one of the first passing options when recovering the ball, is going to allow Nashville to attack forward with very few passing combinations. This is important because number 10, Mukhtar, which is the German that I just mentioned, he has a really good technique. He's the number one option most of the time, and it does make sense too. He's probably the one that gonna make the difference tomorrow. And let's keep moving forward with the striker. Okay, so Nashville usually plays with Boombury. It's an old school striker. I call it old school because he's physically strong. He's really good with rebounds, and he's usually the reference in the opponent's box. But there's a thing. There's the Englishman called Surich. He has scored the last three games. He has scored in every single one of them. But the fact about that, the funny fact is that he's on the bench mostly, during the whole game. But he's having playing time. He just arrived to Nashville a month ago, but every time he goes in, he scores. That's something to take into consideration. And then the qualities and the projection or the projections of both outside midfielders can be a headache for Tatas Martino's players. But let's move on. I don't want you guys to keep seeing that on the screen. We're gonna move forward with the formation now, which is a 4-4-2, as you can see there. And as I mentioned, just on the key points, I am confident that Inter Miami will totally dominate the midfield. This is because McCarty's defensive qualities are good. He has really good defensive qualities, but it will not be enough to prevent Cremaschi, Arroyo, and Messi from receiving the ball without any inconvenience. McCarty have certain tendencies of dropping back behind the center back to get the fullbacks wider. We're gonna see that on the screen in a few minutes. And the problem is that Godoy, the other midfielder, is the only passing option in the middle when this happened. When McCarty dropped between the center backs to get the fullbacks wider, Godoy is the only passing option in the middle. And with a high pressure tendency that Inter Miami have, they will be forced to get rid of the ball pretty quick. That's just a prediction. Unless they go, all in for passing combinations that have to be precise in order to advance. As I show on the screen with the arrows, you see that I'm marking Fafa and Zurich, two really important players. In fact, the last game, this one, against Monterrey, they were the ones that are scored and got the 2-0 for Nashville. Okay, so we can see the 4-4-2 on the screen. We saw that on the last screen, but you see the direct attack. They got possession of the ball and they just went. They move forward right away. Now we're going to see what I told you about the McCarty dropping between the defenders. In this case, he's dropping between the right back and the second defender. So we can see that they form a line of 5 players. But you saw right there, they lost the ball against Godoy, who was the only option. It wasn't a good pass. But anyways, he ended up losing the ball. Now, well, we don't have too much to analyze here. Unbelievable, like how they this goal was not valid. They went to the bar, they checked there, and it's unbelievable that they consider that player that didn't even touch the ball and didn't even interfere with the goalkeeper's view. It's just unbelievable. If they don't call that a goal, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Not on the final, but in general in the MLS, in this league that is developing. But this kind of stuff, it's just unbelievable. I just cannot believe it. Then we just saw on the screen a counter attack from Monterrey. The positioning of the defenders, it was 4v2 right away. Monterrey was slow in the transition. But they ended up, with a shooting from outside the box from Canales. By the way, the Spanish, the ex-international player. And then we just see, a build-up from the back. It doesn't tell us much. It just tells us that number 10, Mukhtar, is the free roll, the one that I was talking to you about. Now we can see on the center, in the middle of the center backs, we can see McCarty, and they had the fullbacks wider, and then we see Godoy, number 20, as the only passing option. They made the build up there. Monterrey is not pressuring too much. That makes it easier for Nashville to get control of the ball. But Inter Miami, they do high pressure. They do have the tendency of putting high pressure, and this is going to be a problem for Nashville. Now in the second half, we see the striker that I told you about, Zurich, number 9. He came from England just a month ago. Every time he goes in, he scores. And that's a quality player. He's probably going to have some minutes. If he's not going to go to the starting line, we'll see what happens. Here's the score of Zurich, the first goal, and then the second goal from Fafa, which is the one that I marked with the arrow. He replaced Schaffelberg. 15 minutes on the first half. He replaced it. I don't know if it was an injury, but tactically speaking, Fafa it's more, on all over the field. And Schafferberg, which was the left midfield, he's go back and forth guy basically, but he helps in both fronts, in defense and in attacking, and that's really important. So we'll see who's going to play. We'll see what's going to happen tomorrow. Here were a few points of what I expect to see tomorrow, and that's pretty much it. Hope you like it, and see you.